My initial response, which hasn't changed that much, by the way, is go handle your business in that studio. See,
Gotcha.
Drake got sensitive with a lot of people when he went after DeMar DeRozan, talking about, you know what, he would not go for his jersey being hung in the rafters. You know, when he was put off by LeBron James dancing to Drake's music, and you know when DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook and these brothers were on stage while Kendrick Lamar was performing Not Like Us. They all from Compton, not LeBron, but they from LA. I was of the mindset like, yo, handle it in the studio. He got you today. That don't mean he gonna get you next week. And if he got you, he got you. But if you got something better, something the Eclipse Not Like Us, do that, because Drake, you that great. You that special. What's the problem? Get in the studio and handle it like that.
Got to, bro.
You don't handle it in the courtroom.
Stephen A. Smith reacts to Drake filing a lawsuit. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Let's get started with some news out of the entertainment industry. And it's something that we've touched on before, y'all. Drake, you know that brother.
Yep, we do.
He's gone ahead and filed a lawsuit against his own record company, Universal Music Group, for Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. Attorney for Drake say the song, which is aimed at the Canadian rapper, is an example of that, quote, corporate greed over the safety and well-being of its artists, end quote. Kendrick released Not Like Us last summer after a series of diss tracks exchanged between the two artists in the spring. On the song, Lamar calls Drake a pedophile and accuses him of appropriating black culture. Again, both artists are under Universal Music Group umbrella. Here's a portion of the claims in the suit written by Drake's attorney.
Yeah, that's the thing with this lawsuit. You're pretty much going against your label, accuse Spotify of bots and all types of crazy stuff. So if you're Drake, definitely not a good look for you. I heard within the lawsuit that content creators were named as well. So Drake, man, he's going out pretty sad right now just because he lost the battle. Kendrick Lamar did say some things about Drake, allegedly. But again, man, as far as hip hop, rap battles and disses, if you're Drake, man, you should have just took the L and keep it moving and keep dissing Kendrick. That's pretty much all you can do.
They claim UMG, quote, approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that was intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false factual allegation that Drake is a criminal pedophile, and to suggest that the public should resort to vigilante justice in response, end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm torn. And I want to be very, very sensitive to this subject because I'm a product of the hip hop genre and what have you. I grew up in Hollis, Queens, New York City, listening to Run DMC. They're from Hollis. Jam Master Jay, the late Jam Master Jay, God rest his soul, was great friends with my late brother Basil, God rest his soul. LL Cool J grew up 5 minutes down the block on Farmers Boulevard.
Stephen A. Smith, hip hop legend.
You know, the Ja Rules, the 50 Cents of the world, and others from Queens.
Queens is a legendary block, legendary neighborhood.
So for me, when I bring up hip hop culture, my initial response, which hasn't changed that much, by the way, is go handle your business in that studio. See,
Gotcha.
Drake got sensitive with a lot of people when he went after DeMar DeRozan, talking about, you know what, he would not go for his jersey being hung in the rafters. You know, when he was put off by LeBron James dancing to Drake's music, and you know when DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook and these brothers were on stage while Kendrick Lamar was performing Not Like Us. They all from Compton, not LeBron, but they from LA.
Yeah, Drake is in his feelings. People that he thought he rocked with, if they even looked like they were enjoying the Not Like Us song and dancing to those allegations made about Drake. Drake is on a revenge tour right now, so he's beefing with LeBron. Said some things about DeMar DeRozan. I'm sure he has some smoke for Russell Westbrook. But again, these dudes are from LA and they got a good rapport with Lamar. So again, if you're Drake, man, get out your feelings, get in that studio and get back at Kendrick.
That's not a crime. So in that regard, I thought Drake was tripping. I was of the mindset like, yo, handle it in the studio. He got you today. That don't mean he gonna get you next week. And if he got you, he got you. But if you got something better, something the Eclipse Not Like Us, do that, because Drake, you that great. You that special. What's the problem? Get in the studio and handle it like that.
Got to, bro.
You don't handle it in the courtroom. That's not how you address contention in the hip-hop industry when it comes to actual records being made.
You gotta think the energy that Drake keeping, mob ties, and he on some gangster stuff at times. He changed a lot since those days on Degrassi, clean cut, weird looking fro. So again, shout out to Drake. He worked his butt off and got to this point, but now you're at a pivotal point in your career. Do I continue to go at Kendrick Lamar? And the perception is, or the reality is, he got destroyed, especially when the Not Like Us came out. Then all the other tracks that Kendrick Lamar made, it really overpowered Drake. This is the first time you're seeing Drake in this compromised position.
That's not what you do. And I stand on that. I firmly believe that Drake should do one or two things. Stand down and say, he got me. Or stand up by going in the studio and making another diss track of your own and making sure it eclipses Not Like Us. One or the other.
That's
I firmly believe that. I'm not backing down or bowing down from that. But I'm going to tell y'all where Drake hits me. And my sensitive side, dare I say, comes into play. When you have to move your child and his mother out of elementary school, when he's being threatened in school, when the mother and the child have to move out of Toronto, according to the reports, that's what it says, for safety reasons. When you've been accused and people think there's validity, not just, lyrical dissection, but literally they're attaching legitimacy to allegations and accusations of you being a pedophile. Then it gets a little dicey.
That's understandable. You don't want your family to be attacked just off a rap song and allegations. But if you're Drake, this could be a bigger play. Collect all this information. Get the stuff from the school that his son was being called out and bullied. You want to bring that to this lawsuit. But I think he's trying to get out his record contract. The UMG, they offered him a lot of money. Believe he made a couple $100 million off this current deal he's on. Maybe he wants out. Maybe this is the only way to get away from UMG. Let me file a lawsuit against you.
Because UMG, Universal Music Group, both of them are under that umbrella. I'm not going to look at Universal Music Group and say, well, it was a crime for them trying to profit off of you. Hell yeah, they're trying to profit off of you in any way they can, whether it's through your music or somebody else's music about you. The record company, of course, that's what they're going to do.
They got to recoup.
Of course, that's what they're going to do. One could argue they should be a bit sensitive to one of their own artists. But in their mind, did it compromise your bottom line? They don't think so. Did it compromise Kendrick Lamar's bottom line since he's under their umbrella as well? Damn sure didn't. It big upped him. It's making him a boatload of money. That means it's going to make them a boatload of money. And their attitude is they probably were expecting you to come back with even more material to go at him with, and they could make money off of both of y'all. That's what they probably were thinking.
That was the best case scenario for UMG. They're two top artists, some of the biggest artists over the last 10 or 15 years. They could have kept the disc going. This was this era's Jay-Z and Nas. Again, Drake folded. Maybe he has a bigger plan at stake, trying to get away from UMG, but the way that he's handling it with this situation, and you're trying to put the Kendrick Lamar to Not Like Us and the allegations, and people are making fun of my kid. Unfortunate, but Drake, he's handling this wrong.
That ain't what happened. So because that's not what happened, and when you consider the level of sensitivity that's been brought to the equation, because again, he was basically accused of being a pedophile, appropriating black culture, I don't want to hear all of that. That's a different subject for another day. But being called a pedophile, yeah, he's a dad.
Respect.
In this universe, is your own music, is your own music company that's promoting this stuff. Okay. All right. I understand. I'm not as dogged against it as I once was, even though I still wouldn't do it. I understand where Drake's coming from. I just think that ultimately he's defeating the purpose, because in the end, you're a hip hop artist who's going to want your music to be absorbed by the masses in the future because you're far from a finished product. And there's going to be an abundance of people out there that look at this as a weak way to come at somebody like Kendrick Lamar, who came at you the way that he did. They want you to come back the same way or bow down to the fact that you got shook.
And Drake, he has the capabilities of keeping this beef alive as far as being in the studio. He has access to writers, and he's a great writer himself, so I just don't understand why he got in his feelings. Again, no one wants to be called a PDF or any words like that, but still, Drake, get in the lab, get in the studio, do what you got to do. You're putting out another album maybe this year. Throw some lines at Kendrick, throw some subliminals. See if you can heat this back up, maybe drop the lawsuit, see how far you can take it. But when you're going against a multi-billion-dollar record label, the biggest label, you're not going to win that.
That's how people are. I can see both sides of this. Before, I could only see the one side that just looked weak to be using the law to come after an artist that took it to you in the studio. But I get where you're coming from now. I do see it. I still wouldn't do it, but that's me. A lot of people I know, but I understand why Drake could feel differently about this. I do.
And again, it's understandable him feeling a certain way, but being a sore loser and then taking it to the courts, that's where Drake is facing a lot of backlash, especially within the hip hop community. People that have had diss records, had worse things said about him. But if you're Drake, you got the money and the power and the celebrity. So I know it hits a little different. But again, Drake, if you're going to put out an album this year, you need to be dissing Kendrick Lamar. You need to go back at him, drop this lawsuit. Again, you're not going to win going at UMG. They have billions of dollars to spend just to prove their innocence. And again, we'll see what happens moving forward as far as this lawsuit.